So welcome back to Vermiculture by Robin's Nest. It's actually Soil Be Built, PTY, but trading as Robin's Nest. I have had a little bit of a problem that I'm trying to resolve today, and it is that usually when I get orders for earthworms, and when I talk about earthworms I'm talking about composting worms, which is one of the types of earthworms that you get. So usually I'll supply earthworms from my own worm farm as a client will come, so I'll dig out 100 or 200 or 300 or 500, and I've got to go to an area that hasn't been disturbed recently, and unfortunately last week I disturbed most of this worm farm, so I managed to pull out a fair amount, which I'm going to put across from here. And in the same way that I separate castings and worms, I'm now separating vermicompost and worms. So I take an area where there's a lot of sunshine, and I have ruffled up the surface so that the area on top gets nice and warm, and the worms don't like sunlight, so they move away. So I can now scoop off the top that has got literally no worms in it. As you can see, as I throw them down, I don't see any worms in there. So they are diving away from the sunshine and away from this excessive heat that the sun is creating, and they are all going to be congregating at the bottom, where it's probably going to be moister, but definitely going to be cooler. Let's just have a look and you'll see what I mean. They are now starting to mass at the bottom. So the idea is to remove as much of the vermicompost without worms on top, and try and get, the order is for 5 kilos, and usually what I'll do is I'll have a courier send me in worms from upcountry. If my quantities are that large, I can only really manage 1,000 worms or so at a time, and 5 kilos is about 20,000 worms. So the idea is take your worm, sorry about that, take your worm full soil, put it into another container. These worms are going to very, very, very quickly disappear. In fact, I'm just going to throw the other bucket out, so by the time we come back those worms will probably be digging away already. There goes the other bucket. And you can see the worms in here also hating the sunlight, hating the excessive heat, very quickly going to bury themselves much deeper. And as you can see, it took only about 30 seconds, 40 seconds, a minute or so in the direct sunlight for them to run away. And it's not just the spider over here that they're running away from. I don't know if you can see the spider. There he goes, a little jumping spider. But they take very quick to move away, and then what you can do is you can just wriggle the surface a little bit, get them to go deeper down. I usually wait a few minutes before I move the surface, because they're not yet deep enough for me to move the 5 centimeters on the top. So I mix up the top surface about that deep, and then they will then go down into deeper soil. So I'm going to get to the point at some stage where all of the vermicompost on the top here has been removed, that I'm going to put back into the worm farm, and then I will have masses of worms, and I will be able to, if I desire, to wash it so that I've got pure worms, just get rid of most of the vermicompost, and then I can weigh them out and I can put them back into the vermicompost that they're currently living in, and I should get myself 5 kilos. So I presume I've got close to 5 kilos here, which is what I need, and it's taken me about 3 hours already just to pull worms from concentration areas to get to the point where I'm at now. And this is how you do worm farming. And I'll just show you a picture of myself so you know it is me. I haven't changed. Well, not much, just going grey all the time. Thank you very much. Don't forget to say like it. Cheers. And what the worms are living in, yeah, definitely another layer can come off the top here. Let's plonk that down. Let's see. Yeah, we're getting dig deeper, and I start hitting worms. So I don't stop at that point. Dig down, just gently raking off the surface, and not taking worms with me, leaving less and less space for them until I have a high concentration of just worms. Off she comes, off it comes, off it comes. Yeah, there might be 1 or 2 or even 10 worms in my hands, but that's nowhere near what the concentration is of what's down just below. Doesn't matter of interest. The only reason I pointed out is that's a little egg. There's another one over there, and then there's one right next to there, just so you can see what an egg of a worm looks like. If you've never seen one, that's one over there. This material is still quite coarse. For me to be able to turn this still into vermicast is probably going to take, there's a big egg, definitely with the temperatures improving now, plenty more eggs available to be seen all over the place. These are still quite fresh because they're still very yellowy green. They sort of turn a browny red, and then they get quite difficult to see before they hatch. But there's still quite a long way. This I'd have to leave for a few months more before it would actually be able to be what I would consider it to be then vermicast. So this is definitely still vermicompost in my opinion. I'd say that at 90% completely consumed is good quality. It's very, very difficult to get to 100%. It turns into mud, and it's almost completely, it's not user friendly at that point. It just turns into this thick mud. Okay, so let's just scratch it up the surface again a little bit, get the last lot of this off. And there are still some worms. This can take off another full layer, I think, before I'm going to be hitting worms. So I'll try and pause again, otherwise I'll just show you the finished result. It looks like nobody disturbed my phone while I was on pause for that last section. That is still coffee grounds. Yeah, unused. Didn't manage to get broken up. The worms do eventually process and move through everything, but at this stage still sitting with some coffee grounds even at this late stage, which is at about 3 months. Okay, so I've taken off what I believe to be probably the last layer, and now you can see the bottom, and in here is what I've been harvesting. That'll give you an idea, concentration levels. I'm not going to take much more of here at all now. I'm going to start separating the worms from the vermicast, and thank heavens the sun is starting to get behind the trees now, so I'll have some shade as well to work in. Yeah, just a couple more handfuls of vermicast without worms, and then I am into pure worms. Let me leave them for another few minutes, just give them one more little fine rooting here just to get the top surface exposed. But I don't want to disturb these guys now too much more. There is still some vermicast compost that can come off, and then I will be pulling out the worms, and I will show that to you with a bit of luck. My phone will allow me to do that, and then you can see just masses of worms, and we'll give it away and we'll see what it weighs. And yeah, you can see they are very close to the surface here now, so let's just leave them for a little while longer, and we'll come back in a minute or two, and hopefully, I think I've got probably only about 3 kilos in there. I hope there's more, but we'll see. Okay, so back to final stage. This is now going to be the removing of the worms, and there you can see worms, more worms, and with a little bit of luck, a lot more worms as well. There's a full mass of a worm ball that is pure worms. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I managed to get out of the bin this morning. I might still just move a little bit more of this vermicompost on the top here off just to get pure worms. I still got to refine it down to the point where I can weigh the worms on their own, so I'm probably going to have to wash these worms, and then I need to just put them back into some of the existing vermicompost so that they are nice and safe. But there is a final shot of what a decent quantity of worms is going to be. It's probably only about 3 kilos worth. So those of you that are working in pounds, you'll have to work it out for yourself. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And that's me going to harvest what I was hoping to get 5 kilos out, but I can see now that there's probably only 2 or 3 kilograms worth here. Lekker, look after yourself, and like with muddy hands, and subscribe if you feel like it. I really do want a couple more subscribers, trying to get up to 1,000. I think I'm on 300 and something. So let's see if we can get there and make this channel pay for itself.